He's doing his thing over there. Yeah. Good to see you again. Where's she at? Okay. It's a neighbor. Yes, process. And to do it right. You want it better. Just the idea of just bringing something up.
Two, testing, 1, 2.
Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Test 1, 2, 3. Good. Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, Bobby was.
Test, 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 test.
Yeah. Very good, very nice speech. This is what everybody has to say. Okay. Yeah, we it's the devil. Starters, everybody. I got all that. Thank you. Glad you're here. Thank you so much. Yeah. We'll have to see it from there because I want to make sure it's not stopping. So I have to try to see if I can see the pulse. I have to make sure it's connected. It's connected to the wires. Do you have a hotspot? Well, if I connect it now, then it's going to disrupt that. That's the hotspot. Let's see if we can connect it. Broke me down already. I'm good. It's good to see you. That's why I wanted to get this done now, so we can really get geared up. I have a place on Tuesday. Yeah. Yeah, hopefully I'll be back to the full street. Good to see you. Here we go. Good stuff.
Then you can use your phone for something else.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Look, I'm a Delta boy, born right over in Rolling Fork, Mississippi, so we got some visitors in the room who are not originally from the Delta, so I'm gonna ask you one more time. Good afternoon, Mississippi Delta. Good afternoon. There we go, there we go. Thank y'all so much for coming out today. My name is Ty Pinkins, and I'm running for United States Senate in 2024. Thank y'all so much for coming out to this candidates meet and greet. And before we get started, I want to explain to you why this is important to Yazoo City and Yazoo County, and more broadly to the Mississippi Delta. We all know that election after election, year after year, we have local candidates running in our counties, local community members running, but for some strange reason, for some odd reason, time and time again, our statewide candidates don't seem to show up in our counties, right? Right? Yeah. So this is what we got for you today, and this is why today is so important. Myself and one of your very own, Jeremy Bull Turner, I think his name is, actually helped put this together to bring some statewide candidates to Yazoo County so that they can talk to you and you can talk to them. Today we have the candidate for Attorney General, Greta Kemp Martin, is in the building tonight. Please give her a round of applause for showing up to Yazoo County, for coming out to the Mississippi Delta. We also have candidate for Secretary of State, Shawaski Young, is in the house. Also, that's not all. Also, we also have Keith Stapps, who is running for Public Service Commission. He's in the house. So this is important because we're inviting these people to come to the Mississippi Delta, the region of the country, the region of the state that I love so much, along with the rest of the state, and show y'all some love. Here's who else we have in the house. We have your state senator, Joseph Thomas, in the house also. Thank you, Senator Thomas, for coming out. I really appreciate it. So here's how this is going to work. Y'all got a whole lot of local candidates in the race. Y'all got tax assessors. Y'all got judges. Y'all got supervisors. Y'all got a really, really hotly contested sheriff's race going on. What we're going to do is we're going to invite those candidates up in groups, and we're going to give them 3 minutes each to talk to you about their campaign. At the end, we're going to invite the statewide candidates of Greta Kemp Martin, Shawaski Young, myself, and keep the stamps up to talk to you about what we're going to do for you on the state level and in my situation on the federal level. Is that fair? Okay. All right. So what we are going to do, we're going to ask our candidates that are running for tax assessor and tax collector, if you're here, please come forward. If you're running for tax assessor or tax collector, that's Denise Robertson, Rochelle Heimer, Miranda Alexander, and Maricia Art. Oh, you got the whole stage to yourself. Okay, come on up. Give her a round of applause. Oh, we got 2 candidates here. Okay, come on up. And your name is, ma'am? Marsha. I pronounced it wrong, didn't I? Okay, as long as you forget it. As long as you vote hard. And your name is, ma'am? Rochelle Lee Heyman. So that's the order that is in. We have Rochelle going first. You're going to get 3 minutes to talk to voters. Okay, all right. You get 3 minutes to talk to the voters, and we'll have questions later if any voters have questions.
Good afternoon. My name is Marsha Art, and I'm running for Yazoo Tax Collector. I'm a community activist, and I think I've had that title since birth. Because as a child, I advocated for others, and I continue to do that. I have a 32-year background with the Federal Bureau of Prisons in financial management and executive staff management. And that is all good and well, but here in Yazoo County, when I win, I plan to be a servant for the people. I plan to offer professional services in the office of the tax collector. I would like our tax collector's office to work just as other county offices work. I want to see more automation. I want to work with the people that are in the boundaries within the tax collector's office and as well as the county to make Yazoo County better and to move it forward. And if we move forward, we can bring Yazoo County to the level that it needs to be on a county level, state level, and federal level. I'm just looking forward to working for the people and with the people. Thank you.
Ms. Hunter. I didn't come prepared with a speech, but my name is Rochelle Neely Hamer, and I too am running for tax collector office. I decided to run for this election not because my girlfriend called me up and said, hey, you should run, or somebody encouraged me. I ran for this election simply because of the horrible experience I've had with the tax collector's office. Now, let me say this. The current person in that position, what I'm speaking of is of his no blame to that individual. But as I left that office, I was in so much anger, and I'm thinking I called about 5 people to tell them how the bad experience I had in that office. And then I woke up the next morning, and I decided not to be one of those people that just talk about it. I need to be about it. So I decided to run for tax collector simply because I too wanted to make a difference. Now I know that's so, a common statement that we all make as candidates. But I believe that in order to do a great job And whatever position that you're running for, you need the right tools. Because without the right tools, it's impossible to do a great job. So let me just tell you a little bit about my background. I am completely a behind-the-scenes person. I do community service, but I like to do it behind the curtain. And that, to me, that benefits me, and it makes me feel great. Now, I have over maybe 40 years of customer service because I think as a tax collector, you need to have customer service. It's important. If the people put you in this position, you should serve the people and not yourself. You should do the job that people want you to do. Tax collector's office is, to me, is pretty much stuck in 1955. There's so many things that I saw that can improve. Okay, thank you.
Let's give them a round of applause. And the reason we're giving them a round of applause because it takes courage. It takes courage to say, I'm, as a community member, I'm going to put my name on the ballot and allow my neighbors to tell me whether they accept me or not. So another round of applause for those strong community members. Next up, we are going to bring up our circuit clerks and chancery clerk candidates. And that would be Robert Coleman, Letitia Carmichael, Ramika Mack, and Essie Bryant. All right, sir, you got 3 minutes.
3 whole minutes. How y'all doing this evening? My name is Robert Coleman, and I am your Yazoo County Circuit Clerk. First of all, I just want to say thank you for entrusting me ever since 2012 to hold a position to offer you the professional service that I'm committed to. Indeed, it has been a process, and through the years, we have definitely improved in the circuit clerk's office. Of course, evidence will show that what we do is professional. We provide service that we are committed to making sure that each and every individual that comes in that office is served with courtesy, respect, and professionalism. So I will continue to do what I've been doing since day one, and that's to offer you professional service and to help and assist you in any way I can. I can go on and on about the things that we do in the circuit clerk's office, but nevertheless, over the years, I think that we have proven our process of becoming an elite circuit clerk's office in this state. Even though we're listed last, according to the state of Mississippi, because we're number 82. But remember what it said, the last shall be first. And so we're standing down on that and making sure that we continue to offer you that professional commitment that we strive to do ever since 2012. So once again, I'd like to solicit your trust in me for another 4 years and re-elect your Yazoo County Circuit Clerk, Robert Coleman.
Good afternoon. My name is Letitia Green Carmichael. I am running for Chancery Court Clerk. I was raised here from the age of 3 to 17. I left in 1985 and went to New Jersey. And over the years of coming back, I decided this is my home. So 4 years ago, I moved back. I built a home, and I am now employed through the Sheriff's Department. I have worked through the municipal court, and at night I do nursing care. And the reason I am running for Chancery Court Clerk is because I love talking to the people. I love learning things, and I love teaching things. So when I thought and then went into prayer about running for Chancery Court Clerk, is to be able to help the citizens of Yazoo City with what I learned and what I want to put out there to teach others. There's so many people who go in there and don't understand what the concept is and what they're filing, how to do it. And as much as I learn, I want to be able to teach them. I am a people person, and I think I will be a good candidate for that position. So I'm asking you guys to go out and vote for Letitia Green Carmichael for Chancery Court Clerk. You will not be failed. Thank you.
Thank you. Another round of applause for the circuit clerk and chancery clerk candidates. Those are extremely important roles in the community. Very, very, very important roles. So next we have our coroner. If he's in the room, we have only one candidate, Quintrell Stewart. There we go. Round of applause, my name.
Good afternoon, how's everybody doing? My name is Quintrell Stewart. I'm 25 years old and I currently reside here in Yazoo City. Ever since I was a child, this has been my lifelong dream and I plan to turn it into reality. I've been in the funeral industry for about 8 years now, and I also have 2 years experience with law enforcement. Customer service is my specialty, and I don't mind going above and beyond for the people in my community. I would like to give a big thanks to our Heavenly Father for giving me the strength to stand before you on today. I also would like to thank my mom. She's my #1 fan and my biggest supporter. She's been here since day one. And I also would like to thank the community for supporting me throughout this journey so far. Everything is greatly appreciated, and it will be an honor to serve as your next Yazoo County coroner. Thank you.
We rolling right along. So next we have Constable Caesar Felton, Henry Collins, James Shears, Eddie A. Smith, and Charles Henderson.
Good afternoon. I'm Eddie A. Smith, currently serving as Constable of the Southern District of Yazoo County. And not only the Constable of the Southern District, I also serve as Constable of the Northern District. And I'm the first black man to serve in both capacities. So I'm asking the Southern District, where I serve now as Constable, for your continued prayer and support, and most of all your vote on August 8th to re-elect Eddie A. Smith, your Southern District Constable of Yazoo County. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Charles Henderson. I'm running for Constable for Yazoo County Southern District. Asking for your prayers and support to make me your next Constable for Yazoo County. I got over 15 years of law enforcement experience. I currently serve as the Chief of Police for the City of Lexington. I'm also on the State Task Force, and I just know not seeking this position just to have the position. I want to be in this position to work with our state and local individuals to make Yazoo City, Yazoo County better. We have a team problem. Crime has increased with our teams. I want us to work together to help bring that and deter the crime. Thank you. Look for your prayers and support. Thank you all.
Good afternoon. My name is Henry Collins Jr. I'm running for Constable in the Northern District. I've been a citizen of Yazoo County for 50+ years. I'm here to serve this county as a Northern District. I've been in law enforcement for, I would say, 9 to 10 years as a reserve deputy. I have worked one-on-one with Yazoo County. Also, I have worked with the state troopers as well and assisted. Everybody thinks just being a constable is just about serving papers. I want to be a part of this county to where I can assist the county, Yazoo County Sheriff Department, and other local law enforcement just as well. I'm a minister. I've been a minister for this year, June, be 20 years in the ministry. I'm a married man that's been married as well as almost 20 years as well. And I just want to be your candidate in the Northern District if it's in the Lord's will. And I just want to say thank you for those that are in your support. And I want to just say God bless you to all those that is running in a position. Thank you. God bless you.
Thank you, gentlemen. Another round of applause, please. Okay, we'll move moving on down our list. Next, we have County Prosecutor Erica Hamer. Not here today? Okay. We have a few judges that are running. Denny Neely, Terrence Jones, Calvin Thomas. Nope. Supervisors. Kenneth Quinn, David Payton, Joseph Thomas Jr., Derek Jackson. I think we got one. Okay, come on down, sir. And see, this is what's special about these events, right? You have candidates that show up, and sometimes they get all the spotlight for themselves. And so come on, sir, and tell us what you got.
Good evening, everyone. My name is David Payton. I've been a lifelong resident of Yazoo City, Yazoo County. I've spent 29 plus years at the State Department of Health directing a statewide communicable disease program. And one thing that I like about that I was able to help to impact the lives of citizens across Mississippi. And I want to do that here in Yazoo County, especially in District 4. Yazoo City and Yazoo County is a sick county. And when I say sick, I mean we have a lot of health disparities here. We have a failing school district here in Yazoo City. There are a lot of things when I talk about sick, all of that relates to economics. And one of the things that I would like to do is to bring policies, at least introduce some things that would help to improve our economics here in Yazoo County. That would help to provide more access to health care. Hopefully that would help our school district. I mean, it would help a lot of things here in Yazoo County. I want to be an advocate for the citizens and be a seat at the table to represent the citizens. And that's one thing that we really need. And also have more community engagement where the community has a part in what goes on in government. And that's what we're supposed to represent our constituents. So I'm asking that you would consider me as voting for Supervisor District 4 in Yazoo County. Thank you, may God bless you.
We got down that list pretty quick, right? We're now at probably one of the most heated races in Yazoo County, which is the sheriff's race. So I'm going to invite to the stage the sheriff's candidate, Corey Freeman, Simon Stubblefield, Ricky Scott, and Jeremy McCoy.
Hey, how y'all doing? My name is Jeremy McCoy, everybody call me Bull. I've been in law enforcement since 2009. Now, I moved up from the police department to the sheriff's department, moved from the sheriff's department as a DUI officer, went to the federal prison, which is the highest correctional level of experience. I stayed out there 6 years as an electrical work supervisor. I left there. I built my electrical company while I was there because I had to get back to serve my community. I didn't feel like I was being productive being out there. I really felt like I was wasting my time until I built my business, got it to where I could sustain my family and take care of things on a home base. We all know as law enforcement officers not making much money, so I had to do something to get back to serve my community where I could take care of my family. So once I left prison, I came back, I ran for a constable, I won it my first election, and I got back out and started serving my community. As of now, I'm still sitting in the Northern District constable position. Look strongly on serving the community through rebuilding. And right here in Yazoo City, we have 75 to 80% of our crime being committed by juveniles or the younger people. I stand as a very young candidate for sheriff. I'm 34 years old, but that's not a detrimental thing. To me, that's one of my strongest assets because I can bridge that gap between young, middle age, and the older generation to bring our community back together. I also won Parent of the Year in our school district because I'm always into the schools. I'm in the schools because we know if our community fails, our education system fails. So our community is not in good shape right now. And our school system is the same way. So I'm into the schools. If you don't know what problem you have, you don't know how to solve the problem. So I'm into the schools trying to see what we can do, trying to see how the community and the schools start working together to kind of get our area back to where people look at us in a good light again. It's not much here. We're the biggest county. It's not much revenue here, but we have a lot of reasons with the gateway to the Delta for people to come and move back to Yazoo County. If they move back to Yazoo County, our revenue goes up, our tax base hopefully decreases, but we won't know that until we come together as a community to get people to coming back here. We're looked at bad on the news, we're looked at bad anywhere in the community, and we got to come together as a community to stop that. With me being a young sheriff, I can I can relate to the younger generation, and I'm working with kids 6 through 16 in boot camps that I do, these 5-week programs. And we come in, we're real big on structure, we're real big on discipline, and we bring in a lot of different people to come to show the kids inspiration, different trades. I'm a contractor as well. We show them how to do all different kind of things, and just show them positivity outside of Yazoo County that they're not seeing. I mean, I'm just gonna be real about it. What they're seeing is not productivity. So once we get somebody that they can relate to, somebody that they can trust, somebody that they can talk to, then they'll start building that relationship back with law enforcement. Now, we're in the generation where kids that had kids, it's not a lot of parenting going on. It's not a lot of parenting going on. So that's why I stand where I am in that advocate to be a younger candidate, so where I can come in and bridge the gap between young and old and be a positive influence as the sheriff in Yazoo County. Appreciate your support in August and in November in the general election.
Good afternoon. I'm Simon Stokefield. I'm one of the candidates for sheriff. I have 33 plus years of service in Yazoo County. I started in 1990 with the fire department, Yazoo City. Went from there in 2008 to the Law Enforcement Academy. From there, I've been in law enforcement ever since. I am currently an investigator with the Yazoo County Sheriff's Office. Like Mr. McCoy said, our biggest problem is crime with the juveniles. That is one of the things that we're going to work on in the Sheriff's Department. We're going to have a leadership with the city and the county. It's got to be a joint effort. That is one of my goals, to work with them. It is also one of my goals to make sure that everyone is treated fairly, regardless race, age, sex. It does not matter. We all have to be treated fairly. I'm going to have an open door policy at the Sheriff's Department. Welcome to come in at any time. I'll also come and visit with you at any time at your residence or anywhere that you would like to talk. My deputies are going to be held at the highest priority. If they mess up, they will have to answer to me. All people should be treated fairly, regardless of who it is. Our crime in this county has grown big time. Like Mr. McCoy said, 956 square miles is Yazoo County. We only have 2 deputies on at a time. That is not enough deputies. I'm going to have to work with the county board of supervisors to try to get more deputies. That's going to be hard to do because of the tax base. Businesses do not want to come to Yazoo County because we don't have enough deputies to provide security throughout the county. That's something I'm hoping I can work with the supervisors, state senate, and also try to get loans or grants to help us so we can provide better security for our residents. Thank you.
Another round of applause for Mrs. Stubblefield and Mr. McCoy, because that takes courage. This is why this is so important. We're getting ready to transition to our statewide candidates and federal candidates myself. And I mentioned this in the beginning. Election after election, the candidates that you're going to hear now, a lot of times you don't get to hear those voices when elections come up. They'll go up to North Mississippi and DeSoto County, which is wonderful. They'll go over in East Mississippi. That's great. They'll go to Hinds County. That's awesome. Down on the Delta. That's wonderful. They have to spend time there. But we need you to spend time in the Mississippi Delta also. We need these voices to be in these communities so that you as community members, voters, y'all can hear what they stand for, and for lack of better words, y'all can feel respected by your leaders to come here and talk to you. So, since I'm up here, I'm gonna start it off. Right, is that okay? All right. So, my name is Ty Pinkins, and I'm running to be your next United States Senator in 2024. I'm a veteran, I'm a lawyer, I'm a former communications aide to President Obama, but more important than all of that, I'm a proud son of the Mississippi Delta. Born and raised not far from here over in Rolling Fork. I'm a proud son of the Mississippi Delta. In a few minutes, I'm gonna ask you to support my campaign, either with money or your energy. But before I do that, I'm gonna explain to you why you should invest in me as your next United States Senator. So let me tell you a little bit about myself. Growing up, my parents were my role models. Neither one of them finished high school. Neither one of them got a formal education. My mother became pregnant with me when she was 14 years old. My biological father left before I was even born. In the 10th grade, my mother dropped out to give birth to me. My stepfather, who helped raise me, he had already dropped out in the 6th grade to start working on the farm driving tractors. And I remember it just like it was yesterday. He woke me up early one summer morning, and he said, go outside and climb on the back of his old beat up pickup truck. There were men twice and 3 times my age. The truck took off. It drove several miles. When it stopped, I stood on a narrow dirt road in the middle of a cotton field. I followed those men into that cotton field. And from 13 years old, for the rest of my teenage years, every summer, I chopped that cotton from sunup to sundown. There were times when those fields nearly broke me down. The sun, the heat, the sweat. However, over time, I realized how that experience actually built me up. It taught me the value of hard work and dedication. The same work ethic I'll take to Washington, D.C. to work hard for you. Now, even though my parents never received a formal education, they taught me the value of a good education. I'm a proud product of Mississippi Public Schools. I became the first in my family to graduate high school. Attended Tougaloo College before joining the Army. I served 21 years on active duty, 3 tours of combat, over 36 months in combat. Was awarded the Bronze Star for my first tour. But I never forgot how important my parents told me it was to get a good education. So while on active duty, I finished my degree in political science. As an Army officer, I worked in the White House under President Obama and President Trump, because when you're in the military and you work there, you serve the office, not the person. After I left the White House, I went to law school, enrolled at Georgetown University Law Center in DC, earned my law degree, my JD, also earned my LLM, my master's in law, with a concentration in national security law. But the thing that I'm most proud of is what I did after I graduated from law school. And guess what that was? I sold my house, packed all my stuff up in a truck, including my wife and my 2 kids, and I came right back home to the Mississippi Delta. Right back home. For the last few years, I have been working as a community organizer and a public interest lawyer in some of the most underserved communities in our state. right here in the Delta. Helping single mothers who are facing eviction in the middle of winter, in the middle of a pandemic at the same time. Representing low-income farm workers who have been cheated out of their pay by big businesses. Serving in some of the same communities that gave me so much when they had so little to give. I grew up not too far from here, just up Highway 61, in a small town, you've heard of it, called Rolling Fork. My dad worked 16-hour days driving tractors, struggling to make enough money to take care of our families. It was hard for my parents, raising 4 kids on food stamps and a salary of about $15,000 a year. Some of y'all know what I'm talking about. But my parents never gave up. And just like many of you, all they really wanted was a fair shot, an equal chance, a level playing field. We all want a good job that pays a decent wage, enough for you to go home each day with your dignity and respect intact. We all want affordable health care that you can depend on to take care of your family. And we all want a quality education system to prepare our kids to be successful in the future. I want my kids to be smarter than me, and I know you want the same thing. For the past year, I've been all over the state of Mississippi, and I've heard from too many families still struggling just to make ends meet. I've heard from too many folks who still can't afford quality health care. And I've heard from too many teachers about how underserved and under-resourced schools, particularly here in the Mississippi Delta, are hurting our children. Our kids deserve better, and we can do better. For nearly 2 decades, my opponent has been sitting in Washington, D.C., failing our communities. He's failed to bring quality jobs to our state. It is unacceptable that today, in some counties in the Mississippi Delta, that the unemployment rate is triple the national average. And y'all know I'm telling the truth, because you live in some of those counties. Sunflower County, Washington County, Yazoo County. It's unacceptable that in some counties in Mississippi, again, in the Mississippi Delta, the poverty rate is as high as 39%, compared to the national average of 12%. That's a 27% gap that has existed in our state, in some of these counties, since my opponent took office nearly 2 decades ago, almost 20 years ago. And that's unacceptable. And guess what? I'm going to do something about it. Jobs in the economy, healthcare, and education. Those are the 3 main pillars of my campaign platform. Sound familiar? There's a pattern forming here, because those are the 3 big issues facing you, your families, and everyday Mississippians. Those are the issues y'all face. Now, I'm standing here in your community, in the Mississippi Delta that we love, and I'm asking you to support me. Well, here's what I'm going to do, because I don't think that your support should be for free. Here's how I'm going to earn your support today, right now. 1, I'm going to explain to you what the issue is. 2, I'm going to explain to you how my opponent hasn't solved those issues, even though he's been in office in D.C. for over 20 years. And 3, I'm going to explain to you why I'm the best person moving forward to help address the issues as your next United States Senator. Fair enough? Fair enough? Okay, here we go. Jobs in the economy. We need a Mississippi economy that works for all Mississippians, not just the wealthy, but middle class and low-income communities as well. For far too long, our state has been near last in job creation and unemployment. Y'all know it. Near last in job creation and unemployment. And I told you earlier, for the last few years, I have been fighting for Mississippi workers who have been cheated out of their pay by big businesses. So much so that I went all the way to Washington, D.C., testified before Congress, telling our federally elected officials how Mississippi employees were being cheated out of their pay. I came home to Mississippi. Those federally elected officials didn't do anything, even though it's a federal policy that employers were using to cheat these employees. They didn't do anything. Well, guess what I did? I sued those same businesses. And guess what? I won. I won for workers right here in Mississippi Delta. Brought back over $1 million, over $1 million to low-income farm workers who have been cheated out of their pay. But that's not enough. We can do better. I know we can do better. We can create an economy here in Mississippi that works for everyone, whether you're rich, whether you're middle class, or whether you're poor. We can do that. And I know we can do it because I'm working with a company right now that's seeking to do just that. They're seeking to make sure that the next big supply chain, the next big industry starts right here in Mississippi. Because y'all know what we got. Y'all know what we got here in this state, especially in the Delta. We got some of the most fertile farmland in this country. Some of the most fertile farmland in this country. You can grow anything. You heard the song, beans, greens, tomatoes. You heard the song, that's true. We can grow anything here. But guess what else we have that we have not tapped into? Who's heard of the clean energy revolution that's happening right now? When you have solar energy and you have wind energy. It's coming. You got electric cars that are being created all over this country. Ford has an electric car. Toyota has an electric car. Chevrolet has an electric truck. You see Teslas driving down the highway. Who's seen it? I've seen it. It is coming. But guess what Mississippi has that most other states don't have? We have the Mississippi River. It runs 2,500 miles from Minnesota through Illinois, through Iowa, through Arkansas, Tennessee, and here's Mississippi. What's interesting about the Mississippi River here in Mississippi is the Corps of Engineers and scientists have already said, because they're already studying it, that the Mississippi River is the strongest and flows the fastest right here in the Mississippi Delta. Now, mind you, the Mississippi Delta is probably, no, not probably, is the poorest area in the state and the poorest area in the country. We all know this. And we have the strongest river running all the way down the Mississippi Delta. So I mentioned solar power and wind power. The Mississippi River produces hydropower. That's where you put pontoons in the river and you take advantage of that 24-hour, 7-day-a-week flow from the river and creates energy. And here's what the Corps of Engineers has said. Listen closely, this is what they've said. That the Mississippi River may be 45 miles from here, over in Issaquah County. I'll give it even 50 miles from here over in Issaquah County. At that point, if we put hydropower in the Mississippi River, we produce hydropower from the Mississippi River, the Corps of Engineers, which is a federal agency, has said it could produce enough power to power every house in this state. I'm not making this up. But here's the painful part of it. And this is why I'm running. Our elected leaders know it. He knows it and has done nothing about it. How do you sit in office and you know that one of the most poverty-stricken areas in this country is in your state and you're responsible for it, and you have a natural resource that's flowing down the western side of the state through the Mississippi Delta, and you haven't taken advantage of this? Here's the danger. Other states are already asking this company to do it in their state, to create this industry in their state. Not on my watch. As your next United States Senator, I'll fight tooth and nail to make sure that that type of industry gets created right here in Mississippi. So that's jobs in the economy. Healthcare. Quality, affordable healthcare. Mississippi ranks 50th in healthcare coverage. That's no surprise, all of us know that. If we count Washington, D.C., we'd be 51st. Bottom line, we're last. For 30 years, my father drove tractors for a living, just like many of your fathers and your grandparents did. Before I joined the Army, he was one of the healthiest people I knew. Could run like the wind. Played center field on the community softball team. Y'all have softball teams here in Yazoo County. He played center field. I served 3 tours in combat over 36 months. And I came back with all my limbs healthy, only to find that my dad is now a double amputee in a wheelchair, nearly blind, and suffering from kidney failure. And now he has to drive nearly 3 hours round trip just to get basic health care services. So when I read in the Mississippi Today and in the Clarion Ledger, or hear our legislators talk about the fact that out of the 74 rural hospitals in our state, over half of them, 38, are about to close. And of those 38, 25 could close this week. So that's personal to me, because I know how important your rural hospitals are to you, because I was born in one. We're last in infant mortality rate. We're near last in maternal mortality rate. That's why I was glad when our legislature recently passed postpartum Medicaid expansion to make sure that new mothers and babies would get health care coverage up to 12 months. It used to be 60 days. And one of the painful things about that is over 30 other states had already extended it. Our state, once again, was late. How many of y'all are tired of our leaders being the last to do the right thing? You know it. Tired of our leaders being the last person, the last state to do the right thing. Medicaid expansion. So when I say postpartum Medicaid expansion, that's different from Medicaid expansion in general. Postpartum Medicaid expansion deals with women, new mothers, and children. Medicaid expansion in general is a whole different thing, and it's been on the table for years. We're last in healthcare, but our leaders haven't expanded Medicaid. It doesn't make sense at all, especially when you take into consideration that you already pay for it every month in your federal taxes. So we got states like Tennessee, Alabama, states all around us that are expanding Medicaid on your tax dollars, and your elected leaders in this state are saying that you should benefit from the same thing. So here's why I support postpartum. Here's why I support Medicaid expansion. As your next senator, I'll fight tooth and nail to support Medicaid expansion because one, it would ensure over 200,000 Mississippians get health care coverage. Moves us from the back of the line. Two, it will bring health care jobs to your communities. And three, God forbid that your child, your son, your daughter breaks a leg, or your parents or your grandparents have some type of health emergency and they have to go to the hospital. With Medicaid expansion, they don't have to drive 3 hours round trip like my father did to get to the doctor. And before I move on to education, we can't have a discussion about healthcare without talking about women's reproductive rights. A woman should make her own decision what happens to her body. Nobody else. Not a politician, not an unelected judge, nobody. It should be between that woman, her doctor, and her religious leader if she so chooses. That's up to her. Here's what we have happening and why I'm running and why this gets me so fired up. And I was going to say this, but this is important to say because we need to understand why the United States Senate is so important. 3 names. Brett Kavanaugh, right? Neil Gorsuch. There's one more, and I'm forgetting her name. What's her name? Amy Coney Barrett. Amy Coney Barrett. Brett Kavanaugh, Neil Gorsuch, and Amy Coney Barrett. They voted in favor of repealing Roe v. Wade, a law that women were depending on for nearly 50 years. Nearly 50 years, women all over this country were depending on that legislation to guide them and show them, hey, these are the rules with regard to abortion. Here, it's in your hands. You decide what you want to do with your body. Now, Amy Coney Barrett, Brett Kavanaugh, Neil Gorsuch voted against it. Guess how Brett Kavanaugh, Amy Coney Barrett, and Neil Gorsuch got the opportunity to vote against it? Because my opponent voted for them. My opponent actually voted to put these three people on the Supreme Court, who in turn decided that women should not make their own healthcare decision with regard to reproductive rights. Think about that. That's why I'm running for United States Senate, because I will fight tooth and nail as your next United States Senator to make Roe v. Wade law, to codify it, so that women regain their right, and we have some stability with regard to women making those health care decisions for themselves. Education, this is my last point. Something extremely important happened in 2017. It was very interesting around education. That year, the Senate was split 50-50. There are 50 Republicans, 50 Democrats. So when we have a 50-50 Senate and it's split like that, the vice president, who was Mike Pence at the time, he breaks that tie. In the Senate that day, there was a confirmation of someone had been nominated for a position by the president. That position was the Secretary of Education, and the Senate was getting ready to confirm her. My opponent again. Now, when you think about Secretary of Education, you think that they nominate somebody with experience doing in what? Education. Guess what this person's experience was? Was not a school teacher, was not a principal, was not a superintendent, was not a college professor, was not a college dean. This person was an investor in computer chips. I see you. I saw your face. You're surprised as I was surprised when I read it. An investor in computer chips. And my opponent, it was split 50-50, and I'm like, this is what's wrong with our politics right now. We have Republicans and Democrats. I'm a Democrat. I'm an independently minded Democrat. We have Republicans and Democrats who feel like they have to stand and toe a line when there's a difficult vote. That day, my opponent could have said, because a lot of Mississippians called him and said, do not confirm this person for that position. Her name was Betsy DeVoe. Instead of blocking that, he went along and voted for her. And guess what she did? She decided to take money, your tax dollars, out of public school and start funding private schools. I saw you again. I was surprised too. Here's what I will do as your next United States Senator. One, when the confirmation comes up for someone like Secretary of Education, I'm gonna do something simple. I'm gonna look at their resume and make sure that they have a background in education before I vote for them. Two, I'll support legislation like the Pay Teachers Act. What the Pay Teachers Act does is it ensures that public school teachers get paid at least $60,000 a year. Because here's the dirty little secret. Our public school teachers are working 40 hours a week, sometimes on the weekend, paying their own money to buy supplies to teach your kids. But guess what else they're getting? They're having to apply for public assistance because they're not making enough money. So I'll support legislation like the Pay Teachers Act. And I'll support legislation that makes sure our schools are funded. And here I'm wrapping up. I'm running for United States Senate because many of our leaders today have failed us. It's plain and simple. Many of them have forgotten the importance of words like selfless service, honesty, and duty. Some of them are more loyal to a right or a left, a red or a blue, a Republican or Democrat ideology than they are to moving our state and our country forward. That's why I call myself an independently minded Democrat. Because even though Republicans, they make a lot of mistakes. a lot. Democrats are not always right. And I love Democrats. But here's what I'll do when my party's not right. I'm not gonna sit there and vote for stuff that's not good for you. I think that's simple. That's why my campaign motto was you talk, I listen, we do. So for over the next 19 months, because my election is in 2024, I'm going to every county, all 82 counties. I hit Yazoo County earlier. So that you can talk, I can listen, we can do it. You can tell me what's important to you and your family. I can hear what's important to your family and community. And together we can do what's necessary to move our state and our country forward. But I can't do it alone. I need y'all's help. What I need for you to do is I need you to make sure, one, that you're registered to vote, and two, that your family members are ready to register to vote. Your husband, your father, that teenager that just graduated high school, we need to get them registered to vote because this is our moment right here. For Attorney General, for Secretary of State, for Public Service Commissioner, and for Governor. This is our chance. On the federal level, politics is in flux. The door is rotten. They're cracking the door that people talk about, that all you have to do is step through it. The crack is there for Greta Kemp Martin. The crack is there for Shawaski Young, for Nikita Stamps, and it's for me. But most importantly, the crack in that door is there for you. Get our people registered to vote and get them out to vote. And I'll close by saying this. A lot of our people in our community think they can't vote because they have a criminal record, because they have a felony. Just because you have a felony does not mean that you cannot vote in Mississippi. Do not let them tell you that. Don't let the circuit clerk tell you that. Don't let the elections commissioner tell you that. There are certain felonies you have to have in order to be disqualified from voting. How many people in here think that you can't vote if you got a drug felony? Yes, you can vote if you got a drug felony. Drug felonies are not on the list. I don't care if it's marijuana, cocaine, whatever it is. Drug felonies are not on the list of disqualifying offenses. There's an exact list. How many people in here think you can't vote if you got a felony in Florida and now you live in Mississippi? Not true. If you got a felony in another state and you move to Mississippi, you can vote. The Secretary of State candidate will tell you that. He knows it. The Attorney General will confirm it. How many people in here know that if you got a felony in Mississippi and it was not in a state court, that does not disqualify you from voting? You can get a felony in Mississippi in federal court, and the state of Mississippi cannot disqualify you from voting. So when you go home, because I got some family members that have some felonies and they don't know that they can vote, tell them, educate them, tell them. Thank y'all so much for listening to me. I really appreciate your time. Vote for Ty Pinkins. Thanks a lot, I appreciate it. Next up is one of my good friends, and please, when they come up, give them a round of applause. These are people that are not originally from the Delta, they are here because they love you. Greta Kemp Martin, she is one of my great friends, a lawyer, longtime lawyer, that's been helping mothers and babies in the legal realm. She's here to talk to you about why she is going to be the next Attorney General, why she's gonna get Lynn Fitch out of there.
Thank you. Man, it's hard to follow, I'm telling you. So as Ty said, my name is Greta Kemp Martin. Thank y'all so much for braving the weather and coming out and spending some time with us. I want to tell you first just a little bit about myself. I am a lifelong Mississippian. I was born, raised, educated right here in the state. Originally from a county up in northeast Mississippi, Tishomingo County. If you haven't heard of it, that's fine, but I encourage you to check it out. It's a very rural part of our state, but it's one of the more beautiful parts of our state. My family is still there. I come from a really wonderful family who instilled in me the need for community engagement and public service. I was honored to have that childhood. My father, my grandfathers, my uncle, they were all involved in law enforcement. So I'm about the third generation in the law. I just took the more expensive route through law school. My grandfathers were police officers, my uncle was a constable, and my father is a police officer, and he is currently running to be the next sheriff of Tishomingo County. So if God is good in August and he wins his primary, there will be 2 Kemps on the ballot in Tishomingo County, and that's wonderful. He is running as a Republican, so you can imagine that's not always a great arrangement, but one thing that my father and I do agree on is that when it comes to the law and the application of the law and justice, that has to be equally applied. And it has to be applied no matter someone's race, religion, gender, who their daddy is, who their mama is. The law is supposed to be applied equally. It's where we get the phrase, justice is supposed to be blind, correct? So I want to tell you that that is not what we have currently in our Attorney General's office. Currently, my opponent, Lynn Fitch, who is the Republican incumbent, she is serving her first term as our Attorney General. She was elected back in 2019. She is more interested in helping her friends and helping her Republican Party donors and even NFL quarterbacks instead of helping you. She's interested in playing PR. She's interested in being the lawyer for everyone but the people of Mississippi. And it is time to put her in the unemployment line. So I just want to tell you a little bit about what's going on with my opponent's administration. Because what I have found is that a lot of Mississippians don't understand what's happening in the Attorney General's office. Sometimes I even have to tell them who our current Attorney General is. And let me tell you why that's the case. We have an Attorney General who is ignoring one of the farthest-reaching, worst scandals in Mississippi State's history. I don't know if any of y'all know what I'm talking about, but if you've read the news in the past year and a half, you've heard something about nearly $100 million of your money being stolen by wealthy donors, wealthy friends, and NFL quarterbacks, money that is supposed to go to some of the poorest people in our state, the poorest state in the nation, has gone to wealthy benefactors of the Republican Party. And let me tell you, our leaders knew about it. We have text messages, we have documents that show that even our former governor knew what was going on. So what you won't find when you look that up or when you read about this, because it's not done. I believe truly that we've only scratched the surface of what's going on in our capital. What you won't find is the Attorney General's involvement. No investigation, no prosecution, good luck even finding a quote. And I'll tell you why. Those are her friends. Those are her donors. She's not prosecuting them. She's not getting her hands dirty. That's her job. She's supposed to be your lawyer. She's supposed to help be a good steward of your money. She's failed. So that's failure one. Let's talk about the other failures. And there's a lot of them, and I don't have enough time to cover them all. Let's talk about our friends on the coast who decades ago suffered at the hands of Hurricane Katrina. The previous Attorney General administration under Jim Hood were settling cases where insurance companies failed people on the Mississippi Gulf Coast. They failed to provide the necessary funds for the damages. And Attorney General Hood, he got them some money. $10,000 per policyholder to the tune of about $7 million coming into this state to benefit our friends on the Gulf Coast who lost homes and lives. Our current administration, my opponent, she settled these cases for about $1,300 per policyholder. Pennies on the dollar. People who have waited decades to be compensated for loss. My opponent, she didn't care. She settled those in the dark of night without anybody's knowledge. That's failure two. Well, let's keep going. Attorney General, they have certain powers with our law enforcement across the state. I'm the daughter of a police officer. I know how important it is to have strong connections with our law enforcement communities. But let me tell you what Lynn Fitch uses them for. Bodyguards. She uses our Mississippi Highway Patrol to her benefit. She has 2 bodyguards that follows her everywhere. The first Attorney General in our history that required bodyguards. And that's not all she uses them for. She also uses them to intimidate people she doesn't get along with, like her stepmother. Abuse of power. That's another failure. Like I said, I can't go over all the ways that the Attorney General is failing the people of Mississippi, but let me tell you what I can do. I can talk about the ways that I'm better, because I am. I've been a lawyer for almost 13 years, and since day one, I have practiced and I have focused my practice on serving people. I got into law not to make millions of dollars, because I'm telling you, it is not like it is on TV. But I got into the law to serve people. It is my life's honor to go into a courtroom and advocate for people. And I did so in private practice for many years. But for the last 5, I've had the pleasure of being the litigation director for Disability Rights Mississippi. Disability Rights Mississippi provides pro bono legal services to our Mississippians who have disabilities across the state. So I've been able to represent those individuals in court. And I've also gotten a little practice at keeping our government accountable. And I have served as lead counsel for many cases against our state. Currently, I am the lead counsel for a class action against the Mississippi Department of Corrections, because they are not providing our incarcerated population with mental health care and medical care. So we're going to get that for them. But I can tell you, I have done that every day of my career. I have been in courtrooms, I have been in front of judges, I have been in front of juries, and I'm ready to do it for the people of Mississippi. Because you don't have that now. You don't have an Attorney General who understands the needs of the people of Mississippi, because we don't live in her Mississippi. I don't live in her Mississippi. I understand we all have different experiences and we come from different places. And I am not from the Mississippi Delta, and I can't wait to connect with a lot of you over the year to hear about your experiences in Mississippi. But I can tell you, it is not like Lynn Fitch's. Ty just told you about our United States Supreme Court and how they got the opportunity to tell women what they could do with their bodies. Let me tell y'all how they got that opportunity. Ty's not wrong. Our senators, our people in the United States Congress, they put the judges in that courthouse. But let me tell you who authored that case. Let me tell you who forgot that only in 2011 did Mississippi reject a personhood amendment saying we don't want the government involved in our bodies. We want healthcare freedom. That was 2011. Last year, Lynn Fitch authored and argued a case called Dobbs. You've heard it. That is the case that brought down Roe versus Wade. So while the senators and representatives in Congress put those judges in the courthouse, Lynn Fitch put that case in front of them. And she said she did it to empower you guys. Do you feel empowered? I don't feel empowered. So what you have currently, my opponent in the AG's office, is an attorney who doesn't listen to Mississippians, who is disconnected from the reality of most of us in this state, who doesn't care what you need. If she did, she would have listened to the 2011 resounding no on the personhood amendment. So what you have is someone who is completely disconnected from what this state needs. And I'm not. I'm telling you, I'm from a very small town in Mississippi. My parents lived paycheck to paycheck. I started working when I was 16, and I have more in student loans than I want to sit here and tell you about. So I understand that Mississippians need someone who understands what Mississippi needs. It's as simple as that. But I'll tell you, post-Dobbs, my opponent believes you'll be okay. You're going to be okay because you got your nanny, right? You got your nanny taking care of your kids? You got your daycare lined up? You have a family that's willing to take off from their job to take care of your kids? Because that's how she believes she's empowered you. That's her empowerment agenda. Let me tell you what I want to do. I want to really empower Mississippi women and families. I want to talk about equal pay. That seems empowering. I want to talk about how we can better assist victims of domestic violence by giving them a way out through our court system. I want to talk about how we can develop a fair labor division to support Mississippi workers. We don't have that. There's not a dedicated department in the AG's office or in our state government for Mississippi workers to help them, to support them. And I want to prosecute. I want to prosecute those people that stole your money. $100 million. I want to do what our current Attorney General is scared to do. And she's scared because she doesn't understand how to be in a courtroom. Before her time as a politician, she was a bond lawyer. And then she spent about 20, 25 years in politics. She doesn't understand what it means to represent people. And she certainly doesn't understand what it means to represent Mississippians. So we're going to come to the part of campaigning that is harder for me than anything else. Because I love coming out here and talking to you and talking about the ways I can improve Mississippi. But now I have to talk about how you can help. We're running a statewide race, 82 counties. This is my first campaign. I've never run for office before. I want to make it out to visit everyone, but I know that that might be impossible. So I need you. I need your time, I need your talent, and I need your treasure. That's the three things that my campaign is seeking from people in Mississippi. One, your time. In a moment, I'm going to give you a website, and I want you to log on. I want you to put your name in the interest box to tell me that you're interested in volunteering for our campaign. And you're going to help us put boots on the ground in all 82 counties. I also want you to tell me if you have a talent that our campaign can use. Maybe you're on a committee in your local community. Maybe you are on your PTA. Maybe you work part-time in a nursing home and you think that our campaign needs to know about this group of people. We want to know. And of course, lastly is treasure. If there's any possibility that there is a donation that you can make to our campaign, we will use your dollars wisely, and we will use your dollars to get Lynn Fitch out of office and make her a one-term Attorney General. We have some cards out front. They look like this. They have my name on the front, and they have the QR code on the back, and that's how you can log on to our website. You just take a picture of that with your phone, and there's a little space there. You can put your name and email address, and I can promise you that you will be investing your time in something that is going to move Mississippi forward. We have a chance, and I know Ty spoke a lot about this, we have a chance this year to move Mississippi through that crack in the door. We have so many good candidates on the ballot for statewide races, for legislative races. We can do this year, but we need your help. We need folks like you who took your time on a rainy Saturday to come out here and listen to us talk. And I really appreciate it. I hope I have a chance to meet all of you as we move through the next year. And I'm always open for questions. All the information on this card comes directly to me. It's my number, it's my email. Those come directly to me. And I'm always happy to talk to anyone who is interested in our race. Thank you so much for coming out today.
Absolutely awesome. Thank you, Greta, for coming to the Mississippi Delta. She needs a round of applause for that. Thank you for coming to the Mississippi Delta. Next up, we're going to invite a really good friend of mine. She's not from far from here, just a county over in Humphreys County. Tamika James Jones is running for Representative District 51. Great, great, great lady. And she's a Delta girl. Come on up here.
Thank you so much, Ty. Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you so much, Ty, for giving us this opportunity to come this evening. Indeed, it is an honor and it is a pleasure. I am Tamika James Jones, and I am your representative for House District 51. I can tell you a little bit about myself. As Ty has mentioned, I'm from Humphreys County, Mississippi. I've been involved in elections and politics for a very, very long time. In fact, that's probably all I know for most of my life. I've served as the Justice Court Judge in Humphreys County for a full term. I was appointed by the Humphreys County Board of Supervisors back in 1999. Seems like such a long time ago now. And I served a full term as the Justice Court Judge of the Southern District. And I served as the first African-American female to do so. And in the next election cycle that came around in 2003, I was elected as the first African-American female circuit court clerk. Mr. Coleman and I, my good friend, Mr. Robert Coleman, we're colleagues in the state of Mississippi, serving with the Mississippi Circuit Clerks Association. And I've been the circuit clerk for now 20 years. It will be a total of 20 years. But beyond that, I just want to share with you that at times we have to realize that our plight grows bigger, brighter, and with this opportunity to serve as the representative for the House District 51, that's exactly where we are right now. Our district is definitely had wonderful representation, a very strong, powerful gentleman who has been at the Mississippi Legislature for 28, 29 years. Has done a phenomenal job, but it's at this time that we must focus on the future. We must move Mississippi forward into the 21st century, and I know that I'm the person that will do that and represent the 51st District well. Thank you. First and foremost, girl power to my sister, Miss Greta Martin. It's time for the voices to be heard loud and proud. When I hear our senator, 2024, Ty Pinkins talk about women's rights, and I hear Greta talking about equal pay and education and economic development and workforce rights. This is important to all of us. We know that all of these different factors, these are factors that affect us every day, every single day. So when we talk about voter rights, I've served as a circuit clerk for the past 19, almost 20 years. And when we talk about voter rights, voter participation, this is important. This is important for the Mississippi Delta. This is important for the state of Mississippi. And I want you to send me to the Mississippi Capitol so that I can work with our senator here, our Mississippi Senator, Brother Joseph Thomas. It is time for the Senate to work with the House of Representatives, for the House of Representatives and the Senate to work with the Board of Supervisors, the Board of Supervisors to work with our municipalities so that we can get things done in the state of Mississippi. And my passion, my real passion, more than anything, is, of course, the expansion of Medicaid. I have to share this story because it is the truth. Humphreys County, Mississippi does not have emergency care. Humphreys County, Mississippi does not have a hospital. And just 1 year and a half ago, I had a niece, 9 months pregnant, 4 days from delivery, with her baby girl, to travel from Belzona, Mississippi, only to get 3 miles from the hospital in an emergency situation and to die on the side of the highway. Mother gone, daughter gone. My family. My family. And we're talking about folk that are at the Capitol, the Mississippi Capitol, that are talking about sending monies back to the federal government. I want to be this voice. If nothing else, for the 51st District, but the voice for Harmony, the voice for Harper, the voice for Byron, who's a husband who's left without a wife, without a daughter. When we look around and we think about the educational system, my daughter is an 8th grade teacher at O.M. McNair Middle School. And I know for myself that she's not only the 8th grade science teacher, but she's a volleyball coach, the basketball coach, and the softball coach. And she's coming home and she's saying, "Ma, you going to Jackson today because I need you to pick up X, Y, and Z out of her paycheck to handle things that she needs for her classroom, things that she needs for her students, her athletic students, her student athletes." Those are the things that are important. When we talk about economic development, where we have Nissan at Canton, we have Growing Now at Grenada, Milwaukee Tubes. When we could have had an opportunity right here in Yazoo County or Humphreys County for economic development. That's important to me. Needless to say, housing. In the district in which I will represent, Rolling Fork, Humphreys County, Silver City, just been blown away by an F4 tornado. Now what will we do? How will we handle the housing situation that was already minimal, marginal? But now what will we do? All of these factors are very, very important. All of these issues are important to me. And I have a passion to say and to stand for the betterment of this district. But the only way that I can do this is with the help of others, but most importantly, from the help of you. August 8th is election day. Again, we have done great, but it's time to do greater. It is time to focus on the future. And my husband and I, when we first started out, we talked about the theme at first, we mentioned that it would be our 3 Ps. It's not personal, it's not political, but it's progress. That's what we're talking about right now. This is about the progress of House District 51. And if given the opportunity, I promise you, and I know they say politicians should never promise anything, but I promise you this, I will promise you this, that I will do my very best and that I will stand and represent the district for which you have sent me to serve at the Mississippi State Capitol. Again, my name is Tamika James Jones. I'm from Belzoni, Mississippi, Catfish Capital of the World. Yep, we're gonna keep that title. But not only will I represent Humphreys County, but I will represent Yazoo County, a portion of Yazoo County, which is Yazoo City, a portion of Holmes County, straight down 49, a little bit of LaFleur County over there, Itabena side, Kruger, a portion of LaFleur County, and of course, Sharkey County. During this time, we want to make sure that we always keep in mind those persons that have been affected with this tornado, this terrible tornado. And they have a long road to hoe and a long time ahead of them. Will we have the representation at the Mississippi Capitol for those individuals? And the answer is, with Tamika James Jones, yes. And so I look forward to each and every last one of you going to your polling precinct on August 8th between the hours of 7 o'clock a.m. and 7 o'clock p.m. That's that circuit clerk coming out in me. And make sure that you go to the polls and vote. But most importantly, when you go, you take 10 more folks with you. They said each one reach one. We want each one to reach at least 10 more folks and take them with you. And just a friendly reminder, when I heard Ty talk about voting opportunities, if you are 17 years of age and you will be 18 by November, although we have an election in August, but you will be 18 by November, register to vote. Parents, register your children to vote so that they can vote even at 17 in the August primary election. That's very important. We want to make sure that we reach out to our young people because their voices need to be heard as well. So ladies and gentlemen, I ask that you consider and vote and support me, Tamika James Jones, House of Representatives, District 51. Thank you so much, Ty, for having this opportunity. And I look forward to seeing each of you at the polls on August 8th.
Thank you. So, up next, we have a really good friend of mine. This dude's from over on, I think, East Mississippi. Great guy. East Mississippi, right? Running to be our next Secretary of State. Really capable, qualified, veteran. He's gonna tell you all this. Please welcome Shawaski Young to the Mississippi Delta.
Good afternoon, everybody. Well, first and foremost, I just want to say, Ty, thank you so much for putting on this event. And we're going to be right here with you along the ride as we get you into office as our next United States Senator. And I want to thank you all so much for being here this evening and giving me the opportunity to come say hello and listen to you as well. This is my 7th event in the last 48 hours. And I can guarantee you that I am still fired up and ready to go. Now, this year, in this election, we have an opportunity to do something that has not been done in our state, statewide, in almost the last 2 decades. And that's absolutely win, unequivocally, up and down the ballot with Democrats statewide. This year, we have an amazing ticket, one of which that represents the future of Mississippi, one of which that cares deeply about each and every Mississippian, no matter your race, no matter your political party. They care about how are we preparing our future for our kids? How are we making sure that we don't live in a state with the most stringent voting rights in the entire country? How do we make sure that we can go from the bottom economically to the top? And how can we make sure that we are fighting back against corruption at all-time highs in Mississippi? One of the things that's most important to me, and I think most important to anyone running for office this year in this particular election, especially with the new election laws that we have in place right now that are sitting in stone, ready to go in place on July 1st, is that you are registered to vote. And that you have checked your voter registration. But if you are in any way, shape, form, or fashion confused about whether or not you're not registered, or that you have moved, or that you have been redistricted out, gerrymandered out of your district, then this is your time. Over the last 48 hours, at those 7 events, and just like today, I'm sure, folks are wondering, how can we help candidates get elected? How can we help you in particular get elected? Yeah, that's a fundraising deadline coming up, I think it's tomorrow, and it'll go public on May the 10th. In the last 48 hours, even though we got them anyway, my statement has been this to you. I don't want your money right now. Of course, we need it later. But for right now, over the course all of the next couple of months, all the way until July 1st, what you can do to help any candidate on the Democratic ticket win more than anything is to make sure that you are properly registered to vote. Because without that, nothing happens. Without that, the same leadership that has been in place for over a decade that has continuously caused us to be last in education, last in healthcare, last in business development, last in economic prosperity. More kids living in child poverty than anywhere else in the nation. A supermajority that's not even willing to expand Medicaid in the state where it needs it the most, where hospitals are closing, where insurance is needed for those who can't afford it. The poorest state in our entire country, where you have people who are cafeteria workers and janitors, not just in Yazoo City, but around the entire state, that are making 3-figure salaries per month to take care of their families. 3-figure salaries to save for a vacation or to save for college or just to go out and have a little bit of recreation with your family. We want to change that. We have an opportunity in this year to do just that. And that's also why I'm running for Secretary of State of Mississippi. It's also the place in which I started my actual career out at. I interned there my senior year at Jackson State University. When I graduated from Jackson State, I became Director of Marketing and Training. And my job was to go around the entire state, all 82 counties, and train all 410 election commissioners, and also some circuit clerks who needed certification how to run elections, along with the Attorney General's office. That's what I started out doing. Under Dr. Eric Clark, who was our 35th Secretary of State, and for about 6 months, I worked for, who is now, of course, Lieutenant Delbert Holtzman as the 36th Secretary of State. Later, I went and joined the Obama campaign, worked for President Obama's White House and Homeland Security and anti-terrorism, worked for Secretary Hillary Clinton's campaign. I've worked in some of the finest institutions all over the country. I've managed millions of dollars of portfolios for colleges and also most recently the San Francisco Bar Association before I was nominated for Congress last year in Mississippi's 3rd Congressional District. The current Secretary of State doesn't have that type of experience. He's just a good old boy with good old connections who knows the right folks. I just left his hometown yesterday. A lot of folks say to me down there that we are really interested in learning more about you. We're really interested in the fact that you really want to bring big business to Mississippi. You really have the bearing in order to do that. And for those particular small cities around Mississippi, like Collins, Mississippi, and other small towns who do not want big business coming to their state or to their particular cities, we're making sure that we're going to put up a platform that's expanding tax breaks for small businesses and also women-owned businesses. More importantly, right now, the entire country is feeling sorrowful for us here in the state. Because we have leadership and we have a state legislature that has allowed our leadership. And when I say allow, I say that very carefully, because we don't have the votes in the state house or the state senate to stop what Republicans are doing. That's why we need more folks like you to actually run for office too. The biggest thing that's happening right now in our state, aside from what's happening economically, which is also most important because folks have to be able to feed their family, take care of themselves, and have the health care that's adequate and of a quality of nature for themselves, is what's happening in our voting laws. Right now, our governor just signed a bill that was also, of course, pushed through by our Secretary of State and the Republicans in the state legislature. It's going to definitely make it harder for you to vote. It's going to put pressure on election commissioners and circuit clerks, because now your Secretary of State officials can conduct business with guns on their sides. Why they need guns, we don't know. Secondly, it puts forth policies that if you have not voted in the last 2 federal elections, you cannot be purged from the voter rolls. Nowhere else in the country is stuff like this happening. In a place that already has voting laws that are just as archaic as Jim Crow itself. Post-audit elections. So when you have actually went to the polls, voted, they have the ability to come through after that and say, hey, this just isn't what the people actually meant. No statewide ballot initiative process anymore. When the people voted for it, when we have that right. It's funny. As soon as we, or the people of Mississippi, voted to make this our new state flag through a ballot initiative, and as soon as they decided that medical marijuana could be legal in Mississippi, somehow Republicans said this is a bad idea. This isn't who we want people to know who we really are. Here's the bigger picture as well, too. Let's take a step down memory lane for just a quick second. In 2022, last year, we had an election. You voted for your congressman. Congressman Thompson, of course, represents this area. It wasn't until about, close to midnight until we knew what the results of that election was going to be. 61% he got in an area that he usually blasts away as the opponent. In every congressional district, 70+% Republican votes. Mississippi had the lowest voter turnout in the entire country in 2022. The lowest voter turnout in the entire country in 2022. Under no circumstances can we let that happen again this year. That is why it is so important that when we have opportunities like this to come together, to hear from folks that have the courage and are going to put forth the blood, sweat, and tears to represent you, to put it all on the line, we got to turn out and vote. My biggest ask to you today is one, definitely pull out your phones right now and go to ShawaskiYoung.com and check out our platform. Sign up if you want to receive our newsletter. If it's kind of hard to spell or find, just go into Google, type in my name, and it'll pop right up. The analytics are pretty good. But the most important thing aside from that is to make sure that you are registered, properly registered. But if you have moved, you're not properly registered. You've been gerrymandered out, you're not properly registered. You didn't vote in the last 2 federal elections, you got something to worry about. Now here in Yazoo County, we just met, but I'm pretty sure you have a pretty good circuit clerk. Someone who's probably not gonna ever think about purging anyone from the voter rolls for nefarious reasons. That is not true in all 82 counties. In all other counties, not all, but many other counties, you have to think about it. Your circuit clerk, your election commissioners, oftentimes are Republicans. The law may very well say, this is how we should be purging people from the voter rolls. Those folks who are election commissioners that are Democrats, they're gonna follow the law. That is not what your election commissioners and circuit clerks who are Republican are gonna do. They're gonna purge you from the voter rolls. And we are pretty doggone sure that come July 1st, there is going to be a massive voter purge throughout the entire state of Mississippi because now it's unfederal. So in your women's groups, in your book club, when you're under the tree talking to friends, at church especially, people who are your co-workers, if you're not talking about, are you registered to vote? Do you know where the circuit clerk's office is? Let's go get registered to vote. Let's print that form offline. And let's give to people at our church. Let's make sure that we start a voter registration ministry at our church. Let's make sure that our book club has voter registration forms at it. You're doing the wrong thing. That is as honest and heartfelt as I can give it to you. That's the cold hard truth. That's where we're at. Because it's serious, and the leadership that we have in place right now is the reason why hospitals are starting to close all over the entire state. They're not closing in communities that matter to them. They're not changing the laws in communities that look other than you do in the majority of this particular area of Delta. I grew up in central Mississippi, east central Mississippi, up in Winston and Neshoba counties. I graduated from Knox Bader High School, East Central Community College, which is in Newton, and also, of course, the Jackson State University. My entire family, for decades, has graduated from Jackson State University. I grew up in a family deeply rooted in civil rights. I grew up in a family deeply rooted in patriotism. My paternal grandfather served in World War II. My maternal grandfather was a civil rights leader in Neshoba County. He was the NAACP president right before the 1964 civil rights slaying of Cheney, Goodman, and Schwarner. He actually built United Methodist, Mount Zion United Methodist Church that the KKK burned down as depicted in Mississippi Burning's the movie. He also rebuilt it after they burnt it down. When I spoke there last year, their 58th year anniversary, one of the things that we talked about is how do we make sure that our past doesn't repeat itself as it relates for the struggle for voting rights, as it relates for us to have more compassion and tolerance and empathy in the way in which we see ourselves as Mississippians. I believe that in this year, in this election, we have a slate of candidates. Not just an amazing candidate for governor, not also an amazing candidate for attorney general, a pretty cool candidate, I think, for secretary of state, an amazing candidate for public service commissioner in the central district here, both of which I would say, Representative Stamps and also our next Senator Ty Pinkins, were two of the first people to come and help me when I ran for office the first time. So I'm obliged to be with them here today. Greta and I met in the struggle after that. We were putting together a really cool group called Mississippi Alliance for Change. And since then, we're all friends. We all care deeply about the state. We all care deeply about the possibilities of this future for the state. I want to make sure that at the end of the day, one, we change our voting rights. We expand and protect our voting rights. That means bringing online voter registration to Mississippi. That means bringing early voting to Mississippi. That means bringing mail-in ballots to Mississippi. It also means that those of us who are residents of Mississippi, who have been incarcerated and has paid their debt to society, that their voting rights are restored upon their return to society. They paid their debt. They owe us nothing. But yet we are the only state in the entire country where you have to actually petition your state legislature to have your voting rights restored. We want to change that. We want to make sure we bring the ballot initiative back to Mississippi, because contrary to popular belief, it doesn't look like that's what they're going to do. You can judge their acts by the fruit they're bearing. When it comes to education, the Secretary of State also, of course, is involved in education and statewide level on the board. I want to make sure that we are investing in our kids' future. That means science, engineering, technology, and math should not just be for those students who are part of the academic elite. You should not have to have a 3.4, 3.5, 3.6 GPA just to have access to STEM courses in school. That's a problem. Every child should have access to STEM education. It's in fact the way of the future in the entire world. Secondly, it would also help that 3% average of STEM jobs that we only have in the entire state, lowest in the country. I also want to make sure that our business community changes. Contrary to what Tate Reeves says, contrary to what most Republicans are saying, our economy is not booming. He can sit there and say, oh, for the first time in Mississippi history, we are now at a 3.5% unemployment rate, best ever. Our school systems are doing better than ever. They're increasing by the hilt every year. What is he comparing that to? He certainly is not comparing that to the entire country, because we're last in those areas. What I want to do is make sure we're investing in our kids' future, making sure that every child has access to a STEM education, making sure that when big business actually does come to Mississippi, they're not just going to places that are going to benefit those who are already in office. They can be coming to places like Yazoo County, Humphreys County, areas that need economic prosperity and an economic boom and push and add to what we all have to offer here in Mississippi. The other thing that I want to make sure is that those businesses, when they come, we want them to make money. We want their profits to boom, because that helps our Mississippi economy. But here's the trade-off. Those same companies, they need to be investing and will be required to invest back into Mississippi, back into our school system, in our kids' future. They need to be partnering with our state offices. They need to be partnering with our local schools, our local community colleges, our colleges and universities. So we are setting up high-earning career pathway jobs as it relates to STEM, as it relates to industry. And more importantly, to that point, with your tax dollars, we're going to make sure they're being protected, that we're good stewards of your money. Even the Republican auditor himself, Shad White, the guy that thinks we need to look at how much money the state is spending in diversity, equity, and inclusion programs now. He said himself, this Brett Favre welfare scandal is the largest public fraud case in Mississippi's actual history. Some of us, Ty and Greta and I, we were just at Southern Miss 2 days ago. I didn't get a chance to go check out the volleyball stadium, though. We're going to make sure that we restore trust in you, our taxpayers, as stewards of your tax funds. It is a problem when we are the poorest state in the country. We're only about 10% of welfare request cases are approved, and 90% are not. And 90% of the money raised for welfare was stolen. That's a problem. No criminal conviction, no trial, no real investigation. So we're going to open up an investigation on day one if I'm elected Secretary of State. I'm going to be on the phone with Greta. We're going to figure out a way to make sure our schedules align to get the United States Attorney down here and also the FBI. And we're going to open up a proper investigation into what's happening, because the Secretary of State is also over securities here in Mississippi. The Secretary of State, of course, is your chief election officer over all elections, over business. It's also over securities. It's also over 16th section and timelines as well. So we have an opportunity this year to change the entire makeup of the state of Mississippi. Here in our state, our BVAP, that's political talk, black voting age population, about 35 to 37%. We know for sure white Democrats are going to turn out to vote as well for us too. And we are working really hard to get that 11 to 15% of what I like to call sane Republicans to have a come to Jesus moment. We think we have a pretty good shot of doing so. But we have got to turn out and vote with our base, which I'm hoping and believing and knowing very well is you. You've got to get registered. Our families have to get registered. July 1st is the last day to register to vote for the August 8th primary. The general election is on November the 7th. That's the deal. My name is Shawaski Young. I am here to earn your support and your vote. I can guarantee you that you will be seeing me again, and again, and again, all the way until November. I look forward to visiting some of your churches, coming to some of your schools when the fall gets started back. I'm sure I'll be working with Ty along that way as well too. And I want you to know that I love you. Thank you so very much for your time. Visit ShawaskiYoung.com and make sure that you are ready to vote. Thank you very much, everybody.
I'm gonna bring up one more friend of mine, a good friend of mine, a Jacksonian. He might correct me when we get up here. So we're gonna invite to the stage to keep his stamps. He runs the Public Service Commission. Come on up, man.
What's going on? Hey, give Ty a round of applause. You're doing a good job, man. Trying to set this thing on fire. For those of y'all who don't know me, my name is Keith Stamps. I'm running for Public Service Commissioner for the Central District of Mississippi. I want to first give honor to God for giving us traveling grace. It was so raining on the way up here. We got the rain, the weather got fogged up. I said, man, we might not make it on time. But it seems like everybody else got here, and I pray that you have safe travels back to your homes as you go. And I see a lot of good friends here. I see Dwayne Doty and Greta and Joe Thomas and a whole lot of good folks. I appreciate y'all for coming. I want to recognize our team. We got Tim. Set up, Tim. Give Tim a round of applause. He's been working with us for about 10 years now. And we got our newest volunteer, Duana. Stand up, Duana. Raise your hand in there. Give her a hand. Helping us travel all over the state to do some very basic things. Now, Public Service Commission isn't one of those big sexy jobs, you know. Most folks don't know what it does. They focus on lights, water, and gas across the whole Central District of Mississippi. Now, sometimes we take this stuff, for granted. 4 years ago, I came right in this same area, asked me for the same thing. And we got 49.6% of the vote. Came real short. So I'm coming back this time, hoping that we're just 1% better. We know we are. Because our record is better, our experience is better, because I got one of those good old boy guys running against us as well. See, about me, I grew up in a little small town called Learning, Mississippi. Learning, Mississippi, population of 108. And we didn't get running water till I was in kindergarten. Now think about that. This is Mississippi. We got folks in the Delta right now that still don't have running water. And y'all know something. We got folks in the Delta right now that still don't even have sewer at the house in 2023. Now, I know solar panels are good, and I'm for solar panels. But for me, I believe everybody, no matter where you live in this entire state of Mississippi, you should have proper water and proper sewer. Everybody. I know we have some big, lofty, aspirational things that we need to do in Mississippi. But there are some basic things. I mean, very basic things that people need that we're not providing right here in Mississippi. Water, sewer, light bills, of course, are just skyrocketing, and natural gas. Because how do poor people heat their houses in the wintertime? The electricity ain't even stable when the ice storms come in January and February. So we got a lot of real work that needs to happen for some basic needs all over this state. And we have some failed leadership that's in place that's been ineffective in helping people to solve those problems and bring remedy to them in our area. See, I'm not one of those folks that wants to kill the whole state of Mississippi to save 10 counties. Right. I want all 82 counties to be successful. Because that's what's happening in Jackson. And Joe will tell you, they're gonna get this whole state to save 10 counties. And Yazoo, Mississippi is not one of those 10 counties they're trying to save. They want to save those 10 counties, and then they want to save their portions of those 10 counties only. And that's why we're going to have effective leadership in place to make sure that the right voices in the right rooms have the right conversations at the right time. And that's what our record is shows. Because I come from a military family. You know, grandparents, uncles, aunts, everybody's all military. And in American history, we've been in a continuum of struggle and progress. We had the American Revolution, folks went off to war, they come back, rebuild their communities, they served in office, they die, civilians take over, we go back to war, then we have the Civil War, then we have World War I, World War II. That same continuum of struggle and progress is the same continuum in time. And I served from and several others. But we go off to the military and we come back to our hometown and say, hold on. I was in places overseas that's got better services than places in Mississippi. In the greatest country in the world in 2023. And we step forward and say, well, hold on, I want to change that. I want to make my home state just as good as other places I've seen across the whole world. And that's that same continuum of struggle and progress that we're in today. That fuels me every day I wake up. Because I don't think that in 2023, little kids should grow up like I did, where everybody from baby boy to big mama is in the kitchen with a number 2 tub. I don't think that should be the case in 20, but it is. And y'all know it is. I got a guy right now in Jackson, Mississippi, who ain't had running water in years just because of water issues. So it's not just small town Mississippi. It's Jackson too. But it takes people with experience. And y'all seen me grow up in politics. 10 years ago, when we first got elected to office, we got elected for some basic things. I was mad at Jackson. I was disappointed at the condition of our capital city. And then once I got elected, I realized that the problem is deeper. The problem is way deeper than what I thought it was. I thought it was just because we had some poor leadership in the city of Jackson. But then once I got elected and started working through the issues, I realized that, hold on. There's some people down at the Capitol that need to be replaced. And so I got elected to the Mississippi House of Representatives after that. And then I realized that we need to go further. That the utilities in this state are controlled by 3 people. A northern, a central, and a southern district commissioner. And those 3 people control all the utilities. They no longer have to redline us like they did in the past when it comes to building houses and giving us access to housing. They can control where the businesses go by where they put the gas lines. If they don't put gas lines in your county, you're not getting manufacturing. If they put all the utilities in place in other counties, that means that those other counties are going to prosper, and they're going to make sure they prosper because they're on that list of 10 counties they want to save. But I'm asking for your prayers and your support and vote because I want to save Yazoo County as well. That's why I'm asking for your vote. And it's going to be critical that we do it. Because until we get the basic things of Mississippi done right, none of our counties can prosper effectively. I'm going to work very hard with Commissioner Willie Simmons and the same aggressiveness that you've seen him start to make changes in the transportation industry when it comes to Yazoo County. The same thing we're going to push forward with utilities. Those 2 positions are going to be critical to move our economies forward because what's the purpose of having a hospital if you can't get a road there? But what's the purpose of having a house if you don't have proper utilities in your house? And the next big thing we're fighting for, there's a $54 billion pot of money that's in Washington, D.C. right now for Mississippi to get its piece of, to put broadband in your communities. Now, broadband is going to be very critical, especially to those folks that's in real estate here. Because if you don't don't have broadband at your house, the value of your house is going to plummet. Because people are only purchasing houses where they have access to high-speed internet. So if you don't get it, that means your value, your wealth, and the majority of our wealth in our community is tied up in our homes. So if our homes are less valuable because no one wants to buy them because we don't have broadband or we don't have, access to natural gas, well, that means our wealth is going to continue to decline as well. That means the industries that are in our communities are going to not come there because you don't have the basic utilities in place. So that's what drives me every day. I wake up, we're focused on utility issues. And when it comes to these storms, like what just happened in Rolling Fork and Silver City and across all of Mississippi, the Public Service Commission needs to be putting storm shelters all over the state. Because as we deal with the effects of climate, we must deal with the reality that people shouldn't be going jumping in ditches in 2023. People shouldn't be going jumping in ditches to try to save themselves and their families. We can build storm shelters. We build everything else we want. We want to build a failed Kemper power plant. We build that. We want to give away $100 million for volleyball courts. We can do that. But we can build storm shelters all over the state so that when tragedy happens, the poorest of poor have somewhere to go. The people who have houses that weren't built with new standards and new technology, they have somewhere to go. And these are those basic things that we need to do. We need to work hard and promote quality folks. I have seen some good candidates come up here today. And our children need to see standards. When I say standards, I mean standards of excellence. So no matter if you're running for constable, a sheriff, or supervisor, it's time out for being regular, for being ordinary. No matter what position you're vying for, my charge to each and every one of you is to be daggone excellent. Nobody worked hard all those years to scratch and claw and register folks to vote for you to get elected and act up. Nobody's done that. No, they weren't doing that. They weren't around here slaves in these fields, hoping that one day that somebody that looked like them would get in office and embarrass them. So no matter what position you're in, take it serious. Because there was a long road that somebody paved for you to get there. That's the only way you bring crime down in our community. Because when young people see leaders leading, when young people see men and women of standard in their communities, functioning professionally, then they get it. But when they see us not doing what we're supposed to be doing as adults, then they just do all kinds of stuff. That's why I'm running for Public Service Commission to take care of our basic issues, but more importantly, add proper leadership from the state level to help the men and women who are in office all the way down the ticket aspire to be better, aspire to be excellent, and to have standards. So you get two wins. You get effective utilities and the appropriate leadership to help all of our state move forward. All of them. In our community, we need leaders. And ladies, I love y'all to death, but I want to talk specifically to our men. Every man in this room needs to leave here and figure out how we can be better, how we can do better, and how we can lean forward and make sure our younger men aspire to be like us. We must give them the appropriate examples for them to aspire to become. That's crime prevention right there. Mentorship and examples. So I want y'all to, I know we passed out these little purple cards. If you got one, everybody get the card in hand, tell them if they don't have a card, give them a card. I want you to take my card. My number's on here, the little QR code that's on the back of this card is my personal phone number. And I want to work with you. Send me a message, send me a text message, hit me up on all of those social media things, and we're going to work together to be better men. We're going to work together. So I don't care if you're having a birthday party, a bar mitzvah, or whatever you're doing. I'm going to come to your party, I'm going to come to your area, and we're going to work together, men, to be better men, so that the women can have better selection to choose from, and so the young men can in turn have better examples to aspire to be. That's my offer to you, is effective government and quality leadership. Those are 2 things you'll get when you vote for me. 4 years ago, we got 49.6% of the vote. And I'm pretty much believing it was about 1% better, at least. And we can only do that with your yoke. So again, my name is Keith Stamps, and I'm running for Public Service Commissioner for the Central District of Mississippi. And we're asking for your prayers, your support, and your vote for Public Service Commissioner on November 5th. Thank you.
Big round of applause for all our candidates. Especially Greta Kemp and Shawaski for coming to the Mississippi Delta like people don't do all the rest of the years. So thank y'all for showing up. Thank y'all for coming. I want to invite somebody real special to the stage, special to y'all. Jeremy, come on up to the stage real quick. Jeremy McCoy helped put this together. Okay? He's the one who helped put this together. He told me that he was running for sheriff. And I'm not endorsing him because I need to be neutral right now. He told me he was running for sheriff a few weeks ago. He called me, asked me for advice. And I said, you know what, let's work together. Because I had thought about it for a while that statewide officials don't come to the Delta as often as they should. And guess what he told me? He was like, bring him to Yazoo County. I got an event going on 29th. I said, for real? He said, yeah. And this is why this happened. So please give him a round of applause. He's going to throw us out.
All right, I'd like to thank everybody for coming out. We got a lot in store. Coming from me, being your next sheriff of Yazoo County. I'm young, I'm adventurous, and I wanted to make a change here and not only get elected. I'm going to be one of the sheriffs that's going to come in, and from day one, we working and we chopping step by step. I'm not going to do all these promises, all these big rhetoric, because I know what the problem is. We got to come in there and we got to establish a relationship with our youth. If we don't do that, it won't be another Yazoo County. I'm just being honest with you. They shooting everything, they doing everything under the sun. And nobody's telling them to stop. It don't take nothing, and I'm telling these kids, they not bad as you think it is. If you see them cutting up, you see them cussing, hey man, stop that. I promise you. For the most part, all they go, okay, my bad, I'm sorry. That's it. But as long as we keep their, don't say nothing to them, let them continue to do their acts, they're going to continue to do it. And we have to be positive role models for our kids. I know I had 94 of them right here in the last boot camp. I realized that we do push-ups, corrective action training, everything. They got to go with the program. And we come in here, we make sure they go with the program before we start inviting guest speakers in, before we start taking them out in the different places in the community. And I know it works because I started out with 22 kids back in 2012. When I just did in February, I had 94, and they was all packed in right here. So I know what I do works. And if I'm the sheriff, just imagine now I got a whole department that has to go and follow, carry out my mission. You can't work for me if you can't carry out my mission. It's simple. If you don't have a heart, and you don't know how to be fair, respect the people, there's no need of leaving the line. I know you. I've been working here 14 years. So I know the ins and outs of what we need in this community, and I am the only candidate in the sheriff race that's out actively trying to take care of these things. I say that I'm the only one that's been doing things that need to be done in this community before I got the position. If you're not trying to do it before you get the position, how you expect people to believe it after you get it? Nobody in here will marry a man or a woman, and you don't know whether they can cook, clean, keep a house. You got to show yourself before you can get that. That's what I've been doing, and I've been doing it for years and years. Ever since I've been here, I've been a servant. My fathers are all in Ward 3 here. Come from a long line of service. I'm a contractor. I serve in my county all day, surrounding the county all day. I'm talking to people, I'm helping people. This is what I do. This is what I was called for. So I would appreciate your vote August the 8th in the primary election and November the 7th in the general election. Thank you again for coming out. You got anything else you want to say? Okay, well, I got the kudzu board, the band coming up. They're gonna give y'all a few selections. And like I said, thanks for coming out.
I'd like to get a picture of the statewide candidates. If I could. Yeah. Pretty good. How are you doing? Mark's a good guy. Oh, yeah. Well, the three of you are statewide candidates. Let's see. Maybe you can keep there as well. We could do it after one.
Yeah.
We'll do it on the stage.